to the Lynx podcast. We are here with Coastless Creative's leader. Should I say that?
Manager.
Manager?
I guess legally.
Legally, you're the manager. Cool. Welcome. Thanks for coming. We're great to have you. So grateful to have you. All right. Cool. But really quick before we get started, I do want to promote a show that you guys are doing with one of your artists. Yes, baby, Jeremy Craner. Sounds right. Black Buzzard. That's the venue. Yes Baby again is playing the 8th at 8 p.m. and pre-sale is $15. So, coolio.
Oh, that's correct. Love you, Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy.
I've heard some of his music. It's actually really good. I think
He's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. It's very like dream poppy, very like I don't know, like Slovaki Space Station by Slow Dive. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of.
Beach Bottles.
Yeah, for
when
sure.
I met them, we worked at a coffee shop together, and he was just playing like dream pop 24/7 over the box.
Did
and I was just
that
like,
contribute to some of the problems you think?
No.
No.
I think if you work in a coffee shop, like all coffee shops have like a very distinct subculture,
For
and
sure.
like if you don't fit into that subculture, you don't last very long.
Dude, yeah, that's like every job I've worked is like there's like a specific group of people, and it's always like it's very hard to fit in with them sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's like if you work at a coffee shop or like a retail place, I think it's a good sign if you don't fit in.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, not to sound like cliche or anything, but I kind of like being able to like either like really chameleon with other people or just like not really fit in being. But I don't know if that sounds like egotistical.
I start every day job being like, this is not going to last very long for me.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, especially in college and like post college, just your 20s in general. It's like unless you just are very lucky to get into a career center immediately in a career like position part of your life, I don't take it too seriously. That's what I've learned. But maybe that's why I've bounced around from jobs so much because I don't take it very seriously.
Yeah,
so.
The moment it's annoying, just quit and find a new job.
Literally, it's not worth it. I think that's a generational thing too.
Yeah, don't let anyone guilt you.
Cool. Well, speaking of jobs, this is my awesome segue into my first question. So, like, so Coastless Creatives, like, what is it and what's your story? I mean, you have a general spiel that you go on about.
I used to have a more defined spiel.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the original mission statement was giving artists opportunities to perform, audiences to escape, and venues to sell out.
Mm-hmm.
That eventually is describing a booking company.
Yeah, for sure.
But it started as like a collective of musicians.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was that like let's be a collective. So it was just a bunch of kids from Dime, Denver, where I went to college.
Okay.
And then that shut down, so it turned to MSU.
Mm-hmm.
That's an unimportant segue because it's really boring. So I'm gonna put that aside in the box.
Don't worry. We have plenty of time. We can go on to this.
Talk forever. Meow, 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 meow. But we created a collective, and like at first we were doing like studio meetups and just kind of playing some shows together. And then I sort of just made it an LLC. Mm-hmm. So it was originally like my senior project in my last year of college was to create a music collective. Yeah. And we were like supposed to do like a video, a song, and a show, and that was like my assignment. And then we did all of that, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep booking shows under this collective, and it was kind of undefined for a while, but because it was like, is it a collective? Is it a booking company? Essentially just became like an events company where it's like at least from the way that I see it, other people see it a bunch of different ways. Okay. Especially artists. But like I like see it as like an events company where like I'll go into a venue and it's like, this is my show and I booked all the talent for the show. Yeah. And like I'm promoting the show.
Yeah. So you're kind of like behind the scenes creative sort of thing.
Yeah. It's not super interesting.
I think it's pretty interesting, especially I mean at this school, very music focused. I think a lot of people are really fascinated by that. And
it's like I'm glad that other people think it's interesting. It's me, I'm just sending emails and filling out spreadsheets all the time. Yeah. Like it's pretty much just like I created an office job for myself that doesn't necessarily pay super good, which I'm not complaining about. Oh yeah. But it's like it's cool to see how like other artists in the Denver community like find value in it because I think the thing like it's a for-profit business, but I think the thing that it gives value to artists for is like it's really easy because you can just instead of DMing a million venues, right? Like if you just DM Coastless on Instagram, it's just like one thing, and it's like I'll find you a show eventually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like especially for touring artists, I really like helping out touring artists, even though like those shows never like typically do super well because most smaller touring artists that hit me up don't have a lot of fans like in Denver. But being able to just like put someone on a show from like Toronto or something out of nowhere is like really rewarding. I'm just like, this makes me feel like I'm valued, which is like important. I'm like, oh, I'm providing something of value to the world around me.
Yeah. I think from the way I see it, it's like, it's almost like you're taking like a very, like a concept we all know from like corporations or like Eventbrite or whatever you want to call it. Like, and they take these things and they book everyone, but they're kind of soulless in it. But I think, and they're very like surface level music scene, but I feel like you're taking that to the DIY level and like the underground scene maybe in some ways. And I think and you're adding like a personal, genuine touch to it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
There's always like, I think there's like the DIY like punk scene, like Seventh Circle.
Oh yeah, Seventh
Denver.
Circle, D3 Arts.
Yeah, where it's like I don't think I book a lot of those artists, so I think that some people in those scenes wouldn't call me DIY, but I'm very DIY. Like I pretty much just made it from nothing.
Yeah.
Like it was just pretty much like sheer willpower and 2 speakers.
Yeah. Like I think it's like a separation. Like people are so like weird and gatekeepy about DIY, and like I have friends who are in like the Seventh Circle, like, you know, hardcore scene and everything like that, and they're always like, it's just for the music and not for the profit, and I totally respect that. Like if I were ever to make music, I feel like that would be for me. But I also know people like very well who like do this for a living and need to make money from it, and there's no shame in that or like weird like hierarchy about it.
That was my whole thing. And I think I've met people who don't want to work with me because of this, but I think like I'm trying to get paid.
Yeah.
Like, and other artists are trying to get paid. And so like that's the biggest reason I started it is because I wanted to help me and all of like the musicians that I was collaborating with, like at least like have some help like working towards the goal of like supporting ourselves solely off of making music. Right.
Because you guys started this as like a senior project, like you said. How many people were working on that at MSU or Dime?
It was like, I don't know. It's hard to count. I think it was like maybe like 5 or 6 different people, and there was like some visual artists too.
Yeah, and you said before the show, it's kind of like there's been people who've come and gone. It sounds like.
Yeah, like I've had like, there used to be like 6 or 7 people that were like loosely doing stuff for it. Like we would have like Polaroids every show. Like it was like a big team. But then, like, behind the scenes, there wasn't, like, enough for everyone to do. So a lot of people just kind of felt useless. And I was
you had too many people just doing something that could have been divided between, like, 3 people or something.
Yeah, so then everyone ended up just kind of, like, leaving. And then, like, it was me, Ransom, Tyson, and Jack Terry, who actually didn't go to school with me.
Oh, really?
Well, actually, Ransom went to school with me for a little bit, sorry. And, yeah, that was, like, the core 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then Catherine Fernandez, who's now like runs it with me for the most part. Ransom's still around. Jack kind of went off and did his own thing. Yeah. We're kind of like do most of the stuff for it, and like are like the 2 creative kind of forces behind it. Like we're doing the Pride Parade this year.
Really?
We're putting a band on a float.
That's awesome.
That's gonna be fun.
Really
that was her idea, and I was like, sure. Just like I'll paint. It was like some fever dream that she just like had. I was like, all right, whatever. And then they're like, yeah, you can do it. We're like, word.
It sounds surprisingly easy for a parade in Denver.
It's because because it's
very
very expensive to be in the Pride Parade. If you want to be in the Pride Parade, all you need is like $700.
Only $700. It's chump change for a guy like that.
Help me.
Yeah.
Every time that I have to do anything on my car, I'm like 2 weeks late on rent.
Oh yeah,
it's hilarious.
Right.
I've been thinking about moving into just a practice space and just squatting in it, just so I can make music more.
See, Denver has some. I'm sure you could you could squat in for the summer. Take hostage.
Catch me on campus, living there illegally.
It's a satire. If anyone from administration's hearing this, please do not expel me.
I'm gonna do it. Can't stop me.
Stop me. All right, cool. Well, So, I mean, like, it sounds like a lot of work. Obviously, that's like redundant, but
nah, it's easy.
Yeah, super easy.
If you want to start your own business, it's like mad easy.
So, I mean, like, how did you guys find? I mean, like, how did you find out that you guys could do this stuff? That like, who could specialize in what area of the projects, and like, how did that come to be? Was it just a matter of like volunteering, or?
I think it was just like the splitting of labor. Was just like originally the graphic designer Jack Terry was like, I just know how to do all this stuff and no one else did, so he did it.
Right.
And then I was all about like I always like book the shows.
Right.
Like that was my thing, is like I always chose what we were gonna do next. And then I pretty much would just like delegate what I needed to the other two people. And I still kind of do that, but just like a little bit less so. Pretty much runs the same though. I choose what happens next, and then I ask the people. I just like tell like, all right, this is what we're doing next, so I need a poster for this show.
For sure. Do you guys like put flyers around the city, or is it all like digital?
I haven't for a while because it's expensive and I don't think it works very well.
Yeah, it seems like it.
The main thing is like if you're trying to sell out a show, it's about like picking the right artist at the right time, because you can like I've had artists that have like 200 followers on Instagram sell like 100 plus tickets, because it's like the show that we booked with them, it's like this is their first show in months and they're all really stoked about it, and they invite everyone they know. Where it's like if you book like I've booked like really popular bands, like Denver bands that have like 2,000 or 3,000 followers on like Instagram and like millions of Spotify plays, and like you could have like pretty much no online presence, but like any venue in the city will invite you back if you sell tickets. Yeah.
Like, I think, like, so you're saying, like, promotion is like the big part of it. It's like not even like who you are. So, like, as long as you can just be pretty vocal about it.
And like, I'm going to, like, social media promotion for small artists, even if you pay for ads, and same thing with flyers, for the most part, in my experience, does pretty much nothing for you. It's good to do it still. Like, you should have yourself on Instagram, just like so it's out there and it's like there's a place where people can go get information. But if you're a local artist trying to like sell your show out, you need to personally invite every single person you know.
Yeah.
And like you need to make everyone in your band do it too. And I work at Lost Lake and Larimer Lounge. There's two venues downtown, and it's like every time that I see a band of 5 people sell no tickets, I'm like, you could have at least sold 5 tickets.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's
gotta be a little annoying about it. Like, hey, please come.
Yeah. No, I think I DM. If you follow me on Coastless still, first of all, why? And thank you. But second of all, you've probably received like 2 or 3 DMs from me this year, like invited you to a show, and I have 1,500 followers. So I think, I don't know, think about in a month, I'll send over 3,000 to 4,000 personal messages individually to promote shows, which doesn't always work. But sometimes it works.
You just gotta try. You gotta put your foot in the door a little bit about it. But that's pretty cool. I mean, so it sounds like it's a very like home run thing. So you run it out of your home, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mostly just run it. I do a lot of the work just like working my day jobs, or like at like Lost Lake or Larimer Lounge. Like I'll just be on my phone promoting shows like the entire shift.
Yeah.
And then I do some things at home, but like, and I did like work before this podcast. Like I do most of the stuff just around the city on my laptop.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't really like being at home too much.
It's very on the go sounding.
Very speedy on the go, and always running around.
Oh yeah. Cool. I mean, that sounds like kind of fun. I mean, your office is like wherever you want it to be. At least you don't have a building you have to run out of and have to be at 24/7. So
yeah, that is kind of nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I mean, as far as music goes, are you more focused on the Denver scene, or is this like something you want to expand?
With Coastless, I'm very focused on the Denver scene because I know how to move in the scene and I know everybody. So like, if I need a show in like a month, I have like a bunch of like talent buyers and like bookers I just know like immediately, and I can just get a show. Like it's really easy for me. But I'm having a lot more fun in my own band. I'm in a band called Fun Machine, and if you go to Coastal shows, you'll probably see me there because I've
There it is.
Because I book myself. Essentially created my own booking agency for my own act. Yeah. I wouldn't have done any of this if I wasn't also trying to like promote my music. With that, I'm like doing tours. I'm like booking like all around the country, which is a lot more fun. So I like traveling.
That's like for you personally, but I guess for like your brand and your booking.
Yeah, it's mostly Denver based, but I would like to do Coastless shows in other cities.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know like we had this we had a band on last time and we still running, and they were like really adamant. They were like, we want to like stay in Colorado, but eventually want to go all over the place. And so, but I know like scenes like city by city, even in the state, are like completely different. Like Fort Collins scene and Boulder scene. I mean, even the Springs scene, like Colorado Springs, is like cropping up now, which is like super interesting to me because I didn't think that the city would have much of like a music scene, but it totally does. So, but they're all their own atmosphere.
Oh, check it out.
It's really cool. I mean, it's mainly hardcore. That's what I've gathered so far, but it's kind of what I do. So maybe I'm just biased.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just kind of thinking about Denver mainly, just because you know it.
For now.
Yeah.
It's mainly wherever I can like put on like a worthwhile show for everyone involved. Yeah. I don't want to put a show on that's only going to draw like 2 or 3 people if I don't know anyone in a different city.
Yeah, and you also don't want to like, I don't even know how to say this. Like, you don't want to like encroach on other people's territory. I guess like if there's already people doing something that's similar to you up in like a different city, and you just kind of come in there and you start booking all these bands.
I definitely do that.
You do?
No, I would definitely. Yeah.
Oh, you would?
I have a problem because it's like if I do that and more people come to my show, it's like, well, I did a better job than you did. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, get it together.
And see, that's where like the like lines between like the DIY stuff and like just like business models like kind of separate. It's like, at least in DIY, it's all about like, hey man, this is your stuff. But like in business, you have to be competitive.
Yeah. I would even say it's less of a business mindset and more of like I'm just very irreverent.
Oh yeah.
I don't like anytime there's any sort of tradition or norm, even if it's in a group of people that is breaking traditions or norms, I still want to break it. Like I don't see like a ethical problem with like going into like someone's like, yo, I throw these types of shows in like Kansas City and no one else can do that. I'm like, lame. So like I'm gonna do that then. Like if I want, and like if it doesn't work out for me, then you're doing it better and like sweet. But like if I wouldn't ever do it just to spite someone. But it's like if I also wanted to do something that someone else is doing, I'm not gonna like not do it because like I'm scared someone's gonna think that I'm like rude for doing it. Like I'm not really like interested in like being polite or like pleasing everyone. Yeah. Like yeah, I just kind of like if I have a vision for something that I want to make real, like I'm gonna make it real.
Yeah. Just like very ambitious. That's ambition.
Yeah. Which can kill you too.
Yeah. I guess so, but I mean, would you ever be open to working with other companies, like expanding and bringing other people in for sure?
Yeah, we worked with I guess I don't know if I've worked with. I'm trying to think of if we worked with any other like concert companies. But I've worked with like Chiba Hut and
really,
yeah, and like Ratio Brewing.
I was Chiba Hut. I always looked my favorite.
They're great. Flavors. They're sweethearts.
They're really nice.
Yeah, they're like. I was like, can I have a couple $100 to help pay the artist for the show, and then I'll just post you on social media? And they're like, sure. I was like, okay. That's just like cold emailing people.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, I definitely can attest to that because like I used to. Well, I guess I still kind of work at the newspaper here at the school, and I worked in like the noise section, which is like my music session. So like, a lot of it is like getting like press passes to shows to promote, and I thought it like going into it, I thought it'd be so hard. Like we were just like a bunch of student run thing, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be so hard to get these press passes. And then you just cold email them, cold call them, and you're like, hey, can we have this? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. It's like, it's that easy. Like, it's just so strange to me, but and it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, it's great.
It's a good kind of strange.
There's, I think, a lot of advice you get in college from like boomers. They're right about this. Just ask for what you want.
Yeah.
Like people sometimes they'll just give it to you because they're like feeling nice that day, and then it ends up just being like a huge opportunity. Like there's a lot of really powerful people in the music industry where like their smallest, like most insignificant opportunities to them are like huge for you. Most be like, oh yeah, this I don't even it's there.
Right.
They just hand it to you. You're like, oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah. That's like a food chain kind of like industries and how it goes. It's like what was so big to you is like a thing of the past for them and so on and so forth. And like as you move up in the different, I guess, spheres, things.
Yeah.
But it's like honestly, like you said, just asking for something. And just the worst they can say is no. And the worst thing that happens to you is you get a little embarrassed maybe. But the more you ask, the less embarrassing it will be over time. Is that kind of how your experience runs?
No, it's always just as scary and embarrassing to ask for things I want.
Really?
It's weird. Like that's one part of doing this that has like never gotten easier. Is
wow.
Especially like every single time that I'm like inviting someone to a show, I'm always just horrified they're going to be like, "You're being annoying," which has happened, and like I get it. It is annoying, but like, like some people appreciate it still, and if you don't appreciate it, just like block me inside. Like,
do your own thing.
I think. Yeah, I think this is always going to be scary because there's no playbook to doing your own thing, to like establishing your own route and like your own path through the world. Like I think every single artist is pretty much doing that. Like I think there's a lot of templates and like there's a lot of like tips and advice and tricks you get for like if you want to like make a career off of your music. Like this is what you have to do, but like every artist's story is like very like unique and like how they end up like putting their art out into society and society giving back to them for it. It's not like working for like like a company that's more like uniform where it's like if you go to school and get this degree, like they're going to hire like 10 of you from this class. Where it's like that doesn't exist for an artist. Like it is like your very specific path and journey and how you get there. So that's always going to be scary. Like every part of doing this is like every day, like I'm just like experiencing a high level of stress and anxiety because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work out. I'm super poor. Like when I work too much, which is often like all of my friends and family worry about me. Like I've hurt relationships from working too much. Like, and it'll like that is unfortunately like kind of a part of it is like there is like that negative, like if you're gonna follow your dreams like without any like very vigorously, like it's gonna require like a lot of personal sacrifice and it might not work out. And I would just say like the flip side of that is if you're if you really like if you're really meant to do it, like doing anything else is going to suck a lot more than whatever sacrifice it takes to do it, even if it sucks for like months on end. Sometimes you still just like want to do it, like with reckless abandon. Say that for any like entrepreneur or artist or anyone trying to like create their own path in the world.
It's just like you have to sacrifice kind of a lot in the beginning to have that like prosperous journey in like life of doing what you love as a career and like being able to do that for the rest of the time foreseeably. And I think I respect that a lot. That's a lot of dedication, a lot of discipline for sure.
Like you still got to do fun stuff, like
totally,
and like you still got to have friends and like whatever, like, but it's more of like I don't really spend any of my free time like doing anything pleasurable. Which is like I like that. Like I enjoy being uncomfortable. But if you need your chill time and like you just like really like just hanging out and like when you have your free time you just kind of like, you know, being with yourself and taking care of your plants, that's sick. Like that's also great.
But you don't get to really do that much.
Not really. Like all my plants die. Like I forget to do laundry for a long time. I'm like, oh great. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a role model.
I think it's very like I don't know. It's a very like admirable position to have, though. It's very interesting, and I think there's like a lot of people out there who I think want to do that and are doing that. So can be a role model.
Yeah, I just never know if I'm doing it right because there's no playbook.
Well, it's the way you said it. It's like it's your own unique journey. So maybe in that sense, there is no right way to do it, right?
There isn't really.
So
the doubt is always there.
Yeah, just gotta do it anyways. Whatever feels right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I guess what is the like main ambition and like of Coastless Creatives? Is it like to eliminate like the starving artist kind of like archetype, or is it like to like what is your goal? I guess I'll let you speak.
I think at the beginning, I wanted to do that for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted what I was doing to like completely just like I wanted there to be a place to go for starting out bands where it's like, how do I get a show? Oh, just message Coastless, which I think I accomplished at a certain level. Mm-hmm. Like in Denver, I think like for the most part, like I'll meet a musician and be like, hey, what's your name? Like, oh, I'm Steven. Like, oh, no, it's nice to meet you. It's like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, like I play in a band. I've done this thing called Coastless. They'll be like, well, I follow you on Instagram already. So it's like, I think at a certain level, I achieved that. I think as far like I as a single person and Coastless as a single organization alone, I don't think it's going to change the way that we treat artists in this country. But I think it's helping. Like I think I'm part of the solution at the very least because I'm also like I think I don't like. It's not always time to romanticize art. Like there's some times where it's like this is a craft that I do and a service that I do, and I need to be compensated for it. And we oftentimes, we all consume media like there's no tomorrow. But once our friends start making media, we like immediately be like, get a real job, or like they just discount it because it's like so difficult to make money doing it. It's like yeah, but like who's gonna listen to that? Like we don't find it as important to support our friends who are doing it because I think we're just like, oh well, it's fun for you. It's like, sometimes,
right? It's a very, I guess you're trying to like oppose, but also work with like. I don't want to sound silly, but like capitalist culture and like consumerist culture and like making money and things like that. That whole mindset, which is hard.
I'm not like standing up here being like capitalism is. I'm not like taking a stand against capitalism, trying to use it to our advantage. Yeah, where it's like I'm not like leading a socialist revolution, although I would like if we had way better social programs here, and I would be more than happy to part with some of my money to make that happen.
Oh yeah. But you're not going to be the forefront by any means.
I'm just not making a political statement or like part of a political movement. With specifically when it comes to my business, I have my own views. Yeah. And like my own way that I vote and like what I would like to see in the world. But I'm not like doing that with my music and with Coastless. Like that's all just like we're artists. This is our situation. I'm trying to make the best of it.
Gotcha.
Like we just like deserve to be paid for like what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I think you made a great point. It's like we always consume media, we consume music. I mean, music is becoming, and I'm very happy for this, like music and art is becoming the forefront of I think our generation maybe, like, you know, there's younger generations. But you know, but then on the second, you know, part of that is like we also turn to people that we know personally and like, oh, you want to be a musician? Yeah, good luck. Or you're being a theater major or you're being a art major. It's like, oh, and then it's like all this like personal judgment. And I think that's just a lot of like ingrained like social, you know, cues that we have within ourselves.
It's like the world needs creators. Like my attitude has always been like, someone's got to do it. And then you should ask yourself if you're going to do it. Like, is that me? And if you don't know, then like try it out. Yeah. Because you won't know any other way. But I think after years of trying and like years of like heartbreak and like sacrifice and like whatever else it takes to do it, and maybe it goes super smoothly for you, like that's not me. Like it's been like borderline traumatizing to do this. Oh yeah. And even after all of that, I'm still just as like hungry. I just want to keep doing it. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you come this far, why stop now? Sacrifice too much, kind of?
No, I think I'm just crazy. Like, I think, like, I don't even think that's, I don't think it's like I've come too far to stop. It's more of just like,
there's just no rationalization to it.
No matter, there's no rationalization. It's like, no matter how far or how not far I've been, I still want to do it.
Yeah.
It's like a very, like, in the moment thing. Like, I don't have to convince myself to do it.
Yeah.
I have to convince myself to not do it, which is how I know I should be doing it.
Yeah, right. I can totally respect that. I get that. I mean, it sounds like have you met a lot of people through it? Obviously, you probably have. Yeah, you've met tons of people. But, like, throughout that experience, like, have you connected with an artist more, or, like, something like that? Like, have you really resonated with one more than maybe others?
I mean, I could list, like, a bunch of my favorite acts, like Wax Cat and Gartner's really good. And All This Really Means Nothing, because they're all small local acts, and, like, unless you're in the scene, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, there's absolutely artists that I'm gravitated towards more on like a personal and creative level. So like I will just like end up probably booking them more or like working with them more because like we just work well together and like it's like friends. Like your friends are your friends. Like hopefully like naturally like you hang out with your friend. Like you hang out with this group of people like a lot because you like that group of people.
Right.
It's like that simple. It's like I like working with these artists a lot, so I work with these artists a lot.
Yeah, and it's just because they resonate more with that like kind of what we were talking about earlier, just like that like ambition, that like goals, or is it just
like if I like to work with people who like take it seriously and like want to do it like for the rest of their lives and like want to do it as a career. Like those are the people that I want to work with. Like I mean if you're not in it to like try and like get better and like try and like push and like promote yourself and like also like be serious about your craft and like be really dedicated to it, like I probably won't work with you for that long. It's not like a personal judgment. It's more of just like and it's not even typically a conscious choice. It's mostly just like people who are like have that same energy and dedication to it will just end up being in the same circles.
It just happens.
It just kind of happens.
Well, I think it's also, it's very, whenever someone is really dedicated to something, it can be very polarizing. People will either love it or hate it. And I think when it comes to people who are very like hobbyists about something, when it comes to that, trying to speak very broadly, it like, if you see someone who's really serious about it, it can almost come off as like crazy. It can almost come off as like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Would you say that's kind of your experience with some musicians?
Yeah. I would say like there is a level of like, if you are really serious about it, you will like fall into periods of unhealthy obsession. And like, I don't think that's necessarily good for the art all the time or like good for your goals all the time. But I think it's just something that like is to be worked through and like people will notice when you're doing that before you will. Like, I know like I've been in situations where like I'll just I'd isolate myself to work for a very long time and like wouldn't realize I was doing it until like someone said something or like something went wrong or like it's just stuff that I think like balancing your interpersonal relationships as like an entrepreneur or like because like you spend most of your life working and it's like if you're gonna have like a romantic partner or like best friends or like whatever, like keep up with those people in your life, like you will like inevitably reach some points where you feel like you're spread too thin. And like you will be sometimes. But I think like if you can balance it, like if you can have close interpersonal relationships and like you can get your work done, then like cool. And like if you can't, you can't. And I don't think that anyone should spend most of their life without interpersonal relationships because like what's the point of even doing any of this if you're all alone at the end? Yeah.
We're social creatures by nature, so.
I'm just a creature.
Just a critter.
That was so weird.
No, it's chill. It's funny.
Beep.
But, sorry, here's some.
No.
Fortunately, it's not there.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right?
They're there.
Oh no, I'm gonna stay. So, but yeah, I mean, in general, though, it seems like there's always like there's just gonna be people who either resonate with like what you're wanting to do and how you seriously want to take it, and there's people who just won't. There's nothing wrong with it. You find your circle. Like, no matter where you are, you're gonna find people who like are attracted to that energy.
I got a square.
Yeah. You got a square, not a circle.
Yeah, I got a square.
Oh yeah.
Because they're all squares.
All very business stuff. No, I think that's really cool. But do you have any favorite venues? I also wonder if there's any venues who kind of are like that too, or if they're all just like, yeah, whatever, money.
I mean, all of them are like, yeah, whatever, money, and like 90% of the time that you're playing a show in Denver, as an artist, you're getting a bad deal.
Yeah.
And I would say that's not even Denver specific. I'd say that's 90% of the venues you're going to play probably in America, like you're getting a bad deal as a small local artist because they know you're hungry for shows and they can't take advantage of you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they do. There are like venues like the Broadway Roxy, the Crypt. They just give everything to you. So if you're an artist listening to this and you want to maximize profit on your show, I would play one of those venues.
There you go.
But that being said, all the venues like that may not have great deals. Like you can still make good money from a show and play a great show because there are a lot of great venues, even if their deals aren't great. Like I'll still play at them. Like High Dive.
I love that place.
I love High Dive.
It's so great.
And they're not bad. Also, like their deal isn't the worst, but like whatever. I won't get into deals. Like DM me if you're curious about these things. Like I can tell you everything you want to know.
Yeah. I know High Dive. Sorry, go ahead.
I like Skylark Upstairs a lot. I really like the clubs I work at. Lost Lake Glamour Lounge and Globe are all like they're great rooms. Like people will always hate on them just because they're like by proxy corporately owned. And I get it. I know why people hate on them, and I won't say anything more about that.
Yeah,
because I work there.
You work there.
Like I understand why they get crap in the music scene, but the rooms are great and the sound is great. Like Laurent, he's like the head sound manager of all three clubs. Like knows what he's doing. Like if you're gonna go play those venues, you're gonna get great sound.
Yeah, I've seen shows at all three of those, and the sound, lights, everything, atmosphere. It's great.
Yeah, and that's the advantage of like having a by proxy corporately like owned. Like they're not actually corporately owned, but like by proxy, like they kind of are.
They have the resources of the
they have resources. So it's like if you want to put on a good show as an artist, like those are good options. I don't have my short answer to your question is I don't have a favorite venue. I'm only ever thinking about the small venues. Like obviously, like Red Rocks is great, and like Mission's really cool. The Ogden's cool. Like, it's just so many good. I really like seeing shows at Red Rocks. And it's probably my favorite place to go see shows.
It's a really good one. Obviously, everyone in I think Colorado, just in this area, the Rockies in general, knows about Red Rocks. So, like, I'm not from here, and that's where I would go as a kid when I would visit here. So, it's pretty great. Do you ever book any like house shows? Like any just like really small, just like super.
Oh yeah. I love house shows.
Yeah, like actual, like a home, like someone's living room.
I love house shows. We've done a couple of house shows. I've done more house shows as an artist apart from Coastless. I think as a small artist, house shows are key. You should play house shows. It's intimate and it's fun and it's rowdy and like you hang out with everyone after. Like it's a good bet to make new fans.
It seems a little scary sometimes, though. I have a friend who, well, not like a friend, but someone I know, like, who opened up her house to be a house show up in Boulder, like a house venue, and it's been a living nightmare for her. Like,
I bet.
Just like city ordinance and sound levels and everything like that. It's like, I totally respect it though because I always go to them. They're some of my favorite shows to go to.
What's it called?
The Blue House in Boulder.
I've heard of Blue House.
Oh yeah. I know the person who runs it and everything. It's pretty cool. So know of her, but yeah, I just always like am partial to those types of venues. I don't know why. It's like I do love a good like stage like concert-esque setting, but like if it's someone's living room, it's always just like so much more fun. The rules are a bit more lax. You can be kind of crazy.
I'm getting like like I was trying to like before we like got in here, I was like really early today, and I was like trying to book shows on my computer, but like going to like email these venues, I'm just doing the same exact thing that I've been doing for 2 years straight, which is like you just email venues to line up. They're like, "How's this date?" You're like, "Sounds good to me." And you're like, I like agree. Like, there's something about DIY spaces that is a lot more intriguing to me now, and I'm really looking to move into doing Coastless events almost like exclusively in those spaces.
Really?
Yeah, because like, I mean, like I don't know if artists always need Coastless on a venue show like that, because sometimes the venue is doing a lot of what we would be doing anyways.
Yeah, they kind of run their own scene.
Yeah, but like June 10th, we're doing like a. This is part of the conversation. Oh my god, my phone just exploded.
But June 10th, you're playing at is it like a DIY venue? What is it?
Yeah, on June 10th, we're doing a show at this place. I think it's unofficially, I've heard it been called the Salsa Factory because they make salsa there.
The Salsa Factory.
But it's essentially like a warehouse.
Really?
Yeah, and they just have like stages you can build.
Is it here in downtown?
Yeah, so it's like just south of downtown. It's like Ruby Hill area, like near Levitt Pavilion. Okay. But that's sort of like those types of shows is like kind of what I'm like looking for doing. It's just really difficult to find those spaces that are like safe and not super expensive.
That's true.
Yeah, but that show's gonna be great. It's like a bunch of hip hop artists and the My Band Fun Machine is playing. Cool. So be like, yeah. I don't know why I whipped my phone out. This was I didn't talk about this concisely enough. I'll do this later.
That works. Do whatever you want. But that's pretty cool. I mean, it's like you said though, it's like with house venues and house shows, they are more intimate, they are more personal. But the problem comes with they kind of do their own thing. They're very, from what I can sense, kind of picky about who they let in because it's very like personal. To, like,
it's like their living space.
Yeah, it's like where they eat.
You gotta know someone, or at least know someone who knows someone.
Yeah. So, and it's also like I said, safety issues. I think there was this like one house show I went to that was like an abandoned warehouse, and I found that it was like some like hazardous chemical processing thing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to die now because I just got in contact with something. Like you never know what you're going to encounter while you're there, and that's kind of the fun of it. But it's also like, okay, maybe if I wanted to make a standard long-term, career, hobby, whatever out of this, maybe not the best idea. So
yeah,
it's kind of the best role. But
I just think that in the pocket in which Coastless exists, which is like Coastless, like artists who come to Denver, like big artists who come to Denver, 99.9% of the time, they're gonna go to like AEG and Live Nation and play those venues. And sometimes, like, and I can't like do what they do better. Like they have a monopoly of like essentially the live music industry in this state, and
they have hundreds of disposable employees. And
they can do whatever they want. Like I've seen AEG employees, like I've seen AEG employees come to my shows and do whatever they want.
Wow.
Not gonna name any names, but like, very gross. The point is that I want to do more non-traditional shows because it's like that's what I can bring to the table that AEG isn't.
For sure.
And Live Nation isn't. Is like they're good at the traditional venue thing. You pay way too much money for a concert ticket, and it's like $10 for a drink, and like great, like you guys have a lockdown, and like all of the smaller venues that I'm doing are just precursors to that. Like once the artists I'm working with in those venues get big enough, like they're not going to play my shows anymore. Like because it's like why. Like, I can get a show at, like, an AEG venue at the Bluebird. Like, I've done Bluebird Theater before, but it's like, why would they go through me to play the Bluebird when, like, the people who own the Bluebird, the people who book the Bluebird, if they're big enough, are already going to be reaching out to them and give them a better deal than I ever could because they have money. So it's like doing non-traditional shows and, like, doing DIY spaces almost exclusively. Like that just sets me apart, and it's not, like, it doesn't feel as, like, tiered as, like I'm doing smaller venues. Once you do larger venues, you can work with these people. It's like you're going to work with smaller venues and larger venues, but if you want to do something different, you're going to work with me.
For sure. If you want to actually like express yourself fully and have, I would guess, no limits as to what you can really do.
Yeah.
Probably work with Coastless.
Do a show at a Cracker Barrel.
Sure.
Terrible idea.
Actually, that sounds awesome. I would do that. It'd be like a weird like folk punk show. But anyways, I think we're getting close to wrapping up. So I'll ask you our last few questions, and then we'll promote that show and head out. So,
speed round.
Yeah, speed round. Most memorable show you've ever done? Most memorable artist you've worked with? Like crazy stories.
We did a show with like 300 plus people at your mom's house, which is a venue. It's a place. And we did like a whole like we had like 6 artists on it. We did like a whole like story behind it. We had like nail painting and like a big color by numbers thing, and like we had like an entire lore like behind the show, and like each of the artists were like a different character in the story. It was kind of interesting.
Oh, that actually sounds awesome.
That was very memorable. Next question.
Next question. Okay. Any new musicians that you want to talk about that you're working with? We talked about Yes Baby at the beginning of this, but any like new up and coming people that you think you should be really looking out for?
Polyurethane.
Oh my God, yes.
Check her out.
Yeah, Polyurethane.
She's
Amber.
crazy.
I had a class
cool.
with her, and she's come to my house a few times. She's really good friends with my roommate. So
yeah,
she's dope.
She's crazy.
Is she playing any shows recently? I haven't seen her on Instagram.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't seen her active that much. But.
Yeah, she's very unique and cool.
Cool.
I think whatever she's doing, I think it's gonna probably transcend traditional concert formats, which is why I'm very interested in her as an artist, because I also want to do that with Coastless. She's
incredibly unique. I went to one of her, I guess it was like a noise DJ set, and it was like so many samples from like vintage like records she had, and like on her phone, and like all the spoken word recordings that she had, and I was just absolutely blown away. The amount of like dedication and like creativity that goes into that. I was like, I want to do that. Like, I'm not a musician by any stretch, but if I were to do it, it would be something like that. Just like completely just going above and beyond and being so unique.
Yeah, she's great.
She's awesome. Definitely check out Polyurethane.
Yeah, I like there's Red Light Ritual and Spitting Image. They're like my homies, so I'm shouting them out. But they're both like just really good. Like Red Light Ritual is like good stoner rock, and then Spitting Image is very like nostalgic, like early 2000s kind of.
Yeah, like Built to Spill, kind of just like dad rock, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. It's kind of shoegazy. It's weird. You know, go see them. They play. They're playing on the 8th with Jeremy.
There you go.
So if you're gonna go see the June 8th show, you should stay for Spitting Image's set.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Cool. Well, we're going to wrap up now because I have a lot of questions.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Promotion time for the other show that I promoted at the beginning is going to be at the Black Buzzard venue. Yes Baby's playing the 8th, 8 p.m. Pre-sale, $15. Yeah. Coolio.